Good evening here in Santa Clara, California. I think it's evening. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. That covers all bases if you're following this out there on the World Wide Web. Our next general session comes from RedHat. We have Vijay Sarathi to talk about what comes next. You know, that's one of my favorite topics. So let's give it up for Vijay Sarathi from RedHat and let him tell us about getting started on the cloud. Vijay, please, sir. Oh.
Good evening, and thank you for being here. Driven mainly by time to market. Customers are looking in this hyper-competitive world to be able to deliver the solutions that they need to in fairly short order. And so they need IT to kind of react to that and need IT to be able to deliver what they need in a matter of minutes as opposed to, you know, the days or the weeks or even the hours it might have taken before. Right? And the other thing is they're constantly benchmarking themselves against the various other operations models, the cloud infrastructure that's out there, and seeing how they compare against themselves. An example of that, I was just listening to Paul Moretz, CEO of VMware, at a conference earlier this year, and he was talking about how when he learned that Google had a server-to-admin ratio of about 1,000 to 1, he went and asked his IT folks what the ratio was at VMware, and his IT folks came back and said that's about 100 to 1, right? So you can see, I mean, there's a huge disparity between the best practice and even what enterprises are able to put together, even the most advanced enterprises, right? So clearly, there's a drive towards being able to be more efficient, more economical in terms of the infrastructure that is delivered. And as our customers are looking at how to enable the clouds within their own enterprise, again, looking at the best practices, they see that a large number of the clouds that exist today are built on Linux. Right? In fact, by some estimates, 80% of cloud infrastructure out there is built on Linux. And Red Hat, being the de facto commercial implementation of Linux, has a significant presence, and a lot of top clouds are built on Red Hat Linux as well. And Linux, why not, right? Because it provides all the various attributes that you really need in order to build a very scalable, reliable infrastructure for your cloud. First of all, just in terms of the base, reliability, scalability, security, all these attributes are well represented in Linux. And it's also a modular operating system, a modular infrastructure that's able to accommodate any new requirements that may come up. For example, some of the work that the NSA required in terms of security was incorporated into Linux through SC Linux. So that's an example of how Linux is modular and able to accommodate requirements. Now, so it makes perfect sense for being able to use Linux to enable a shared infrastructure, shared on-demand infrastructure for your clouds. And talking about sharing, which is kind of a key attribute with respect to cloud, you have to think about virtualization. I know there's a lot of people who like to debate whether virtualization is part of cloud or not, but come on, the reality is if you believe that cloud is a shared infrastructure that's being delivered on demand and the operative word being shared, then you have to deal with virtualization in some form or the other today, because that's the paradigm that you use for sharing your infrastructure. And there's this tendency, or there's this belief, I think residual belief, that somehow open source is not up to par with respect to some of the proprietary solutions out there in terms of being able to virtualize infrastructure for real operations. And that's just not true. As the slide shows out here, the top 4 results for the SpecMart virtualization benchmarks are actually owned by Red Hat Enterprise Virtualization, or REV. And so that's just not true. I think open source and open source virtualization technologies are definitely up to the task of being able to enable the underpinnings of your cloud infrastructure. And the other thing people are looking for is a broad ecosystem, a broad community that enables interoperable solutions, a variety of solutions that can be leveraged, mostly in order to keep also the cost curve manageable. And so to that end, there are a number of different industry alliances, organizations that are now pretty richly represented by a huge number of companies working on open source technologies for the cloud. So the key here is basically the key takeaway I wanted to leave you with is open source is ready. Open source provides you the necessary tools and the solutions that you need in order to stand up a very reliable infrastructure for the clouds that you need to build. So now let me talk a little bit about the approach that we're taking and how we're informing ourselves with respect to that approach, right? We're talking to enterprises constantly, talking to our customers in the enterprises constantly and figuring out what exactly they want and how they are structured today. And if you look at the typical starting point within the enterprise today, it's very siloed. You built an infrastructure that's been siloed. You've got your compute, network, storage infrastructure, silos, and then on top of that you have infrastructure built around specific customers or projects, which result in a number of different silos. And so consequently, an inordinate amount of time is spent on keeping the lights on, managing that complexity as opposed to actually providing the innovative solutions that the internal customers within the enterprise need in order to innovate. So now there are three approaches that we see that you could take in order to create or stand up this cloud infrastructure. The first one could be you could take a clean slate approach, and you could basically say, okay, let me start fresh. Let me get rid of all this clutter and try to start with a clean slate. But clearly that's not very practical. I mean, how many of us can really afford or practically go ahead and do something like that? So the next approach people take is to take part of the infrastructure and create a cloud out of that, right? And this is something that a lot of the proprietary vendors also like to promote. Start small, take a piece of your infrastructure and build a cloud around that. The reality is that this is not particularly scalable either, right? You end up essentially creating another silo, and if you thought that you're going to reduce the amount of complexity that you have, you've just added to that. You've just created another layer that you got to manage. So the approach that Red Hat likes to take, and Red Hat is really promoting, is much more of an approach of being able to leverage all the infrastructure that you have, leverage the existing infrastructure that you have in order to build the cloud infrastructure for your enterprise. And so this means leveraging the physical, the multi-vendor virtual infrastructure that you have, whether it is from Red Hat or not. This could be a VMware or it could be something else, and also the public cloud infrastructure. So really, we want to create an infrastructure that's open and interoperable using all the existing assets to their fullest. Now, the other thing that we get from talking to our customers is the fact that they're not quite, I don't want to say ready for the public cloud, or rather they have concerns about around security or compliance. Security and compliance definitely come up a lot in the context of public clouds, and I think that theme was repeated in some of the conversations or the talks we had today as well. It's amazing. I mean, compliance especially. I mean, there are so many things. Just even simple PCI DISS compliance. that's okay, but then there's all kinds of regulatory compliance issues that, stifle the enterprise's ability to go and leverage the public cloud. But that's not to say that enterprises don't want to use the public cloud. They're actively using the public cloud, but what they want is the ability to have a seamless interface or some kind of seamless experience between the private on-prem infrastructure and their public cloud infrastructure. So this is something that we hear loud and clear. How do we manage the applications, and how do we enable the applications to go across the public and private cloud? And what they're looking for is a seamless portability of the application. They want, and I want to elaborate on that. By this I don't mean cloud bursting or all that. There's a lot of talk about this ultimate vision of being able to take your applications and dynamically and seamlessly move them across clouds. I mean, the fact is we're way off from there. What we're really looking for in the enterprise is just, portable services, portable programming models, and application, compatibility, right? And that's what enterprises are looking for. So, how are we going about delivering on this value that customers are looking for in the enterprise? So this is sort of a normalized representation of what the Red Hat cloud stack looks like. At the very bottom, you can see that we have a Delta Cloud API or an abstraction layer, which allows us to abstract all the various physical or virtual or public cloud infrastructure that you have. And then on top of that, we have a cloud engine, which is a cloud orchestration engine that allows for the seamless orchestration of all those various compute resources, right? And then the area that we're paying a lot of attention to is the whole application lifecycle management capability. This is where we're able to then allow customers to define and build applications, complex multi-tier applications, and have them be portable, if you will, across multiple cloud infrastructure that you have underneath. All the while enabling the core attributes of the cloud, which are the self-service and the cloud administration capabilities. All right, so what I'll do right now is then walk you through some of the entry points that you have into the cloud using Red Hat, right? So you could, the neat thing is once you have a core, solid, basic infrastructure, you can then use that to do whatever you're trying to do in the initial stages, and then move from there to wherever you want to move to. So if you're looking to just stand up a private PaaS, then great. You can use JBoss Enterprise Application Middleware or JBoss Operations Network, what we're doing with CloudForms, and create a private PaaS using all of that stuff. If you're looking to build and manage a hybrid infrastructure as a service, then you can do that using CloudForms. If you're trying to use public PaaS, then you have OpenShift, which I'll talk about as well. And finally, if you're just looking to deploy into the public cloud, then we have a solution there as well. So let me just walk through a little bit of each of those entry points. Right, so so we have this thing called the Red Hat Certified Cloud Providers, and Red Hat Certified Cloud Providers are the trusted destinations for our customers, partners, ISVs, anybody who wants to use Red Hat technologies in the cloud, right? And we go through a fair amount of rigorous testing and certification to make sure that these cloud providers are have an infrastructure that is Red Hat certified and available to them, right? And there are many trusted cloud providers, and here's an example of basically the screenshot that I took is from Amazon, and this shows you, the availability of Red Hat Enterprise Linux through Amazon, which is one of our certified cloud providers, a premium certified cloud providers. What we've done with Amazon is we've enabled, or we've made available RHEL 5, RHEL 6, both 32 and 64-bit instances available on all zones on Amazon. So you can go there and then order these services off of Amazon on demand and pay for them by the hour. The other option you have is if you are an existing Red Hat Enterprise Linux premium subscriber, then we have as part of that something called Cloud Access Program. So you're able to take the existing subscriptions that you have that you're using within the enterprise and move them into a Red Hat certified cloud provider. So the same thing, same subscriptions now can be used in the cloud as well. Right? So you've got that flexibility, and you've got the ability to take advantage of all the things that you expect from Red Hat, the services, the subscriptions, the support services, etc. Right? So that's what you can do with Red Hat in the public cloud. And here's just an example of how this is working in action. So this has been available for about 5 months, I want to say, and Adobe is one of the customers using this stuff. Adobe has this product, enterprise product called Adobe Lifecycle, which provides business process management and content management for enterprises. And they offer this as a managed service to their customers. And it's all hosted on Amazon using Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and Adobe does the backend management. Right, so the next thing I wanted to talk about briefly is Red Hat's platform as a service. So we have something called OpenShift, which has been in developer preview for a few months now. And the platform as a service was designed to offer, it was designed specifically for open source developers. It's designed to offer them choice, flexibility, and by providing a free service level at many levels so that they can experience and play and then deploy applications in the cloud. And also, it's designed from the get-go, because of Red Hat's DNA, to be enterprise class, to be an enterprise class infrastructure. So it's got the Red Hat characteristics of being very reliable, scalable, etc. So in terms of the choice that the platform offers, it offers choice in terms of the frameworks, the languages that are supported, also choice in terms of the cloud providers that that you can go run on, and choice in terms of the scale that you can choose. So let's talk about each of those. In terms of the frameworks and the languages, we support pretty much a lot of the popular frameworks, Java, Ruby, PHP, Python, Perl, etc. And we're constantly adding to this. In fact, we have a very scalable modular infrastructure that allows us to plug in other frameworks and languages. And this is something we're going to make open and available so that people who want to go ahead and extend the platform can do so, right? So from that perspective, open and offering choice in terms of the frameworks and languages. In terms of the cloud providers, again, this runs on pretty much any trusted, will run on pretty much any trusted Red Hat cloud provider, certified Red Hat cloud provider. Today in beta form, we are running it and managing it on our own on Amazon, but it'll soon, when we launch it, it's going to run on any of the cloud providers. In terms of the choice of scale, I should mention that we have 3 levels of offerings with OpenShift. So there's something called Express, there's a Flex, and then a Power offering. Express is your entry level. Basically, it allows you to get in and start experimenting with Red Hat, Red Hat's PaaS for free. You don't get a lot of control, but you can deploy something fairly quickly and easily. If you want more choice in terms of scale, or you want more control in terms of the scale, and you'd like some of the more advanced features like auto scaling or versioning or monitoring, then you can move up to Flex. And then Power is the ultimate offering, which will offer complete control of all the middleware stacks and the layers. So check it out if you haven't. I mean, this is one of the this is the only platform that offers a full support for Java EE. You can use, Tomcat or JBoss containers as part of this. So OpenShift.com. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is the infrastructure as a service or hybrid infrastructure as a service management platform. This is what we call CloudForms. And so CloudForms provides all the basic functionality that you need in order to manage your heterogeneous cloud infrastructure and provide you the basic things like self-service, as well as the cloud orchestration capabilities. So three key things within CloudForms: the self-service and cloud administration. We have the application lifecycle management component, and then the compute resource management. So those are the three components. From the self-service component, nothing that you wouldn't expect from any usual cloud orchestration layer. So we provide all that basic capability, and then from a cloud orchestration or a cloud resource management perspective, as I mentioned and alluded to before, we interoperate and work with pretty much any underlying compute resource. So this may include VMware or a public cloud infrastructure like Amazon or anything else. And if we don't have support for that, remember I mentioned that we use Delta Cloud to abstract that. So you can develop your own cloud adapters to make sure that this interoperates with any cloud infrastructure that you may have or you may be intending to use. The key focus, or the area where we're spending a lot of time, is more on the application lifecycle management capabilities, because we think that this is where we can really add value, and this is where we can truly differentiate the Red Hat's ability to bring the operational efficiencies to the cloud. And so the application lifecycle management component has two pieces to it. There's an image factory and there's an image warehouse component. The image factory is what allows you to create recipes for your complex multi-tier cloud applications. So you can pretty much define a recipe for a complex multi-tier cloud application, and Red Hat CloudForms will make sure that it is instantiated for any of the various underlying cloud infrastructure that you're trying to deploy it on. And we can do this dynamically at runtime. And that's pretty useful, especially if you look at the typical life cycle in terms of deployment within the enterprise. We see that our customers are using one type of infrastructure to do their QA. They might do it within the cloud, and then for development, and then they use another infrastructure for QA, and then finally yet another for their deployment. That's fairly common, something that we see. So with CloudForms, what we're able to do is have one recipe, and at instantiation time, as long as we know the target, we're able to pull in the right pieces of the right bits to construct exactly the right infrastructure to enable you to run on that particular cloud, right? So that's CloudForms, and there's a lot more about this that you can come and check out or talk to us about this at the Red Hat booth, or happy to speak to any of you after this talk to give you any more details. So that's it. In summary, I think what I wanted to leave you with is that we've basically looked at how we want to deliver infrastructure for the enterprise by listening to our customers, and what our customers have told us is basically there needs to be an infrastructure that spans both the private on-prem infrastructure as well as the public cloud infrastructure. And so we're trying to span that with a very seamless set of services: compute resource management capabilities, lifecycle management capabilities, and compute resource management capabilities. And we provide for all the various elements within the stack, so you can do your hybrid infrastructure as a service management, your platform as a service, both in private or in public, in your public cloud instances. So that's about it. And if there are any questions, I have about 2 or 3 minutes. I'm happy to take it out right now. Or, I know this is the end of the day, so definitely I'm going to hang around and happy to answer any questions at the end of the session as well.